Anderson swings left wing. Asamoah back up top to Anderson. To Andrew Carr. Right elbow jumper. No good. Offensive rebound, Asamoah, but a foul called on him. That's his second. Both teams struggling. Delaware, no field goals in the last 3:15. Hofstra, 0 of their last 4. No field goals in the last 3:45.
And somebody has to break through here, right? Somebody has to be able to knock down a shot from the field, because if this becomes a free throw line shootout like it was at the end of the first half, listen, it's going to be a long, and for many fans, it is going to be a frustrating, edge-of-your-seat, nerve-wracking sort of contest to have to hear about.
20 lead changes in this game, tied 13 times. Jalen Ray comes off the screen from Conte. He's at the top of the arc, guarded by Asamoah. Jalen Ray cuts inside. Couple moves from Ray. Floater on the right block. Jalen Ray's got 30.
Jalen Ray, a fantastic move to get towards the inside right there. Little jump step, one-footed floater off window and in.
Anderson at the top of the arc, trying to slice his way inside, will step back beyond the arc. Kicks left corner. McCoy drives, now kicking into the right corner. Andrew Carr spots up a 3, no good. Rebounded by Conte. Trying to pass it to Burgess, and Johnny McCoy comes out of nowhere, pokes it out of bounds on the baseline. Hofstra, though, can take a little bit of a breather. They will keep possession. 6:10 left. Hofstra leads 63-61.
And Johnny McCoy had an open look, mid-range shot near the far side, and just opted not to take it. Instead, pumped and then passed it around. I think if he would have took that, he would have been surprised that he would have gotten his team some points.
Delaware applying some pressure in the backcourt. Caleb Burgess swings it all the way down the court to Tariq Coburn, who gets immediately down the lane, bullies his way inside for a layup off the glass. Hofstra with a 4-point lead, and Delaware calls a timeout as soon as they cross the half-court line.
And I just got to think that Coburn bucket there is a 4-point swing of what could have been for Delaware. Again, could have been a tie game. Johnny McCoy takes that shot. But now here's Tariq Coburn with the athleticism back to the bucket. All of a sudden turns around, and he's got it up and in for a layup. Pride up 4 now, and this is big coming out of this timeout. Again, Martin Inglesby going to draw something up nice here, going to try to get his team, keep his team close at least in this one. Again, they now have that field goals drought of 4 minutes, 18 seconds, as you mentioned, still 0 for 4. But this Hofstra Pride team, they are continuing to get it done offensively and defensively in big moments. Now it's about keeping pedal to the metal on both ends and seeing if you can extend this lead a little further.
Have to remember what happened last time when Delaware took a timeout. Hofstra had a 7-0 run in a span of 1 minute, 15 seconds. Delaware calls a timeout. Coming out of the timeout, Kevin Anderson hits 2 threes. He's 5 of 5 from beyond the arc. So Delaware taking a bit of a breather, down by 4, and Hofstra will look to try and weather this storm. Kevin Anderson coming out of the timeout. Swings it Asamoah right wing. Up top, Anderson. Now to Painter. Left elbow extended, back up top, Anderson. Anderson driving down the left lane. Bounce pass inside to Painter for a slam through 2 defenders. And Hofstra leads by 2, but Painter put some energy in his team with that slam.
Yeah, some nice passing by Delaware. Right underneath the basket, was able to get Painter wide open coming down the baseline.
Jalen Ray coming off the screen from Conte down the right lane, loses the ball out of bounds, and they say there's a foul called on Kevin Anderson. That's his second.
Kevin Anderson, it's a big foul there, but again, not as tied up as his teammate Ryan Allen with those 4 fouls, but right now for the Hofstra Pride, anytime you get contact made with you, you know you can turn it into points. You got some tough free throw shooters at the free throw line, some good free throw shooters at the free throw line, and guys like Coburn and especially a guy like Jalen Ray, who again takes a step to the free throw line in this one, shooting the 1-and-1, and he's able to knock down that first free throw from the line, so awards himself a second free throw attempt here coming up for the Pride. And take a look at Jalen Ray going further into his high school accolades. 2-time conference champion for Hampton.
Jalen Ray goes 2 of 2 at the line. Hofstra's in the bonus with 5:19 left. They lead 67-63. Allen carries over. Hofstra in a zone defense. It's the 2-3. Allen at the top of the key. Now Painter on the right block. Painter pulls out towards the right wing. Will now attack back inside. Spin move on Conte. Finds a wide open man in the right corner. It was Novakovic, no good. Rebounded by Hofstra. Jalen Ray will carry up for the Pride. They lead by 4, 4:45 left. Ray gets the screen right side from Conte. Tries to bounce pass it inside. And they say it's a kicked ball. Jalen Ray trying to bounce past the slipping Conte in the two-man game. It was kicked off of a Delaware defender.
A little skip pass there from Jalen Ray, trying to get it on that bounce. Ties a Conte just a little too low, but thankfully for the Pride, the kick ball from Delaware keeps possession in their favor.
B. Burgess inbounding. A catch-and-shoot three from Coburn. He's wide open. He connects. 3 of 3 from the field are the Pride in their last 3 attempts. They're getting hot. It's a 7-0 run over the last 40 seconds. Painter, left corner, guarded by Conte, swings cross court. Right wing 3 from Asamoah. Off iron, no good. Rebounded by Conte. Outlets to Jalen Ray, 4:15 left. Hofstra leads by 7. Jalen Ray driving down the left lane. Contact and the foul. Jalen Ray doesn't get no foul called. Jalen Ray finishes at the bucket. What a play from Jalen Ray finishing through contact. Hofstra with their largest lead. They're up by 9, 4 minutes left. Anderson, top of the key, splits the defenders down the middle. Floater goes with the foul. Kevin Anderson able to get right into the paint. Gets the bucket and the foul. Jalen Ray wanted a charge call. He won't get it. Kevin Anderson finishing at the rim. Hofstra still can't pull away just yet. They lead 72-65. We're coming back with a Kevin Anderson free throw. You're listening to Hofstra Pride Men's Basketball, brought to you by WRHU. So Hofstra has led by as much as 3. Alyssa Perella has 7 of the team's 9 goals, but this game is all tied at 9. Goal coming from Haley Driscoll, her 9th of the season, off of the feed from Golmi. Alyssa Perella will now be taking the draw control.
This is Shannon Smith doing anything she can to switch it up, and Perella, her first draw of the day, is victorious, and now Hofstra's got a quick attack.
And Perella wins the draw control and flies all the way down into the corner, making sure Hofstra gets that possession. This game is tied up at 9. Hofstra with possession, looking to counter the Villanova comeback.
This is what you need if you're Hofstra, though. You've got to maintain some sort of consistent offensive pressure. You don't need to try and force anything that's not there. This is not the point in the game to do it. Let Villanova give you something, and if the shot clock starts getting low, then maybe create something yourself.
Matera on the right wing. Drives, pulls it out. Katie Whalen sticking her left hand. Whalen pulls out, looking for a cutter. Whalen sticking her right hand, swings it behind. Alyssa Perella behind the cage, cuts around the crease. Perella, the underhand shot, goes wide, but Alexa Matera is there to chase.
Perella very nearly single-handedly just buried a go-ahead goal that was very needed.
Matera draws 2, kicks up top. Now left wing Whalen. Whalen, drive and kick. Back up top to Whalen. 8:36, 15 on the shot clock. Whalen up top, now 10 on the shot clock. Whalen gives it to Perella behind, 7 seconds on the shot clock. Perella needs to work with it. She gets in front of the cage. Perella turns around, fires it on net, and Alyssa Perella gets fouled. Perella had to put a shot on the cage as the shot clock was expiring. And Perella, holding her face, may have taken a shot up high.
She took a stick up high. I believe it was Hannah Driscoll's stick, as Perella forced a very scrambled Villanova team to try and stop her from finding a way to bury one, and now she's going to have a freebie.
So Alyssa Perella with an opportunity to break the tie. She has 7 goals in this one. 9-9 the score, 8:19 to play. Alyssa Perella cranks one and picks the corner. Alyssa Perella is insane. She has 8 goals, and she just picked her spot.
Alyssa Perella while sitting there, stares down Hannah Driscoll, who gave her the stick up high, and proceeds to pick a corner on her goaltender. Hofstra gets a much-needed go-ahead goal. 8.5 to go now.
Alyssa Perella with 8 goals in this one gives Hofstra the lead back. They lead 10-9, 8:15 left to play. Her 20th goal of the season. Jack, that was a beautiful goal. Alyssa Perella said, I want that left corner. Give me that.
She wasn't even looking when she shot it. Like I said, she was staring down Hannah Driscoll and proceeded to bury one. Talk about intuition and doing this for so long. She knew exactly what she was doing the second she lined up. You could see the smile on her face from up here. Oh, Hofstra with a much-needed lead. A much-needed lead, I should say.
Off the free position shot, Alyssa Perella gives Hofstra the lead, and now she's back in the draw control circle for the Pride.
Alyssa Perella has officially, now at that 8th goal, now that it's locked in, tied her career high for goals in a game. If she is to pick up another one, she would break her career record for goals in a game, and she would tie her single season or single game points record, I should say.
Alyssa Perella has been breaking records all season as she wins the draw control for Hofstra. Alyssa Perella taking over. 8 minutes left to play. Hofstra leads by 1.
She's the captain for a reason. She's a leader out there right now. Hofstra gets a little dejected, a couple of bad goals against, and who else to pull him out of the funk except for the goal queen herself, Miss Alyssa Perella. Now Hofstra's got another chance, under 70 on the shot clock.
Esposito with it at the top will give to Whalen. Whalen to Matera. Matera holds. Matera will give back to Whalen at the top.
Hofstra's feeling it. They know they're in control right now. They're very, very little ball movement.
There's now a lock on Alyssa Perella. Alyssa Perella just standing in the far corner. Esposito on the left wing. Finds Perella cutting. Perella, bounce shot, scores! The lock doesn't matter. Alyssa Perella breaks it and now has 9 goals in this one.
Yeah, they give 2 defenders directly to Alyssa Perella. How do you stop her? You can't stop her. 2 defenders directly assigned to her. Perella still finds a hole. 9 goals in this game, a career high for one game, and now she's 1 point shy of breaking her career high.
Alyssa Perella now 21 goals on the season, 9 of them coming in this one. A career high for goals scored in a game. Hofstra starting to build themselves a lead again. They lead 11-9. All due to credit from the takeover by Alyssa Perella. Andrew Bacigalupo, WRHU, being joined now by Doris Burke, NBA sideline analyst and reporter for ABC and ESPN. Doris, how has life been for you without NBA basketball?
Yeah, the first few weeks, because I had tested positive for COVID-19 right after the NBA shut down, to be honest with you, I was so much more focused on my health that first 4 to 6 weeks, but, missing it tremendously, obviously. We would be into the playoffs. We would be at the best time of the year. So, it's not easy. I think all of us are struggling without our routines and without our jobs and the things that, help to give us purpose. So, I'm anxious. I hear reports that perhaps we have an opportunity to come back in some way, shape, or form. Just watching ESPN and the Woj bombs and trying to keep up to date, Andrew.
You mentioned that you did test positive for COVID-19. Can you tell me what that experience was like going through the cycle of this virus?
Yeah, so, I returned home from my Denver at Dallas game, which was March 11th, which obviously was the last night of NBA basketball. I hadn't felt well going into that game, mentioned it to my colleagues at lunch at our production meeting the day of the game, but it didn't really cross my mind. I honestly just thought I was fatigued from the normal grind of the season, the time of year that it was, it was late, and listen, about a week after I got home, I wasn't improving. I happened to be with my daughter and her fiance, and his mom was a critical care nurse and just knew I probably needed to go get tested, that even though my symptoms weren't very much in the lines of what they were talking about at that point, which was, shortness of breath, pressure on the chest, even though I didn't have that, I decided to get tested, and obviously it took 8 days to get the results. Not having the answer right away afforded me an opportunity to come to grips with the fact that I think I knew I had it.
Very pleased to hear that you're doing better, Doris. And, during this time, have you had the chance to speak to any players or coaches? And what were their initial reactions to the whole league shutting down?
2 or 3 weeks leading up to the suspension of play with the Rudy Gobert diagnosis, I had an Oklahoma City game in Oklahoma City. And, I was standing out front sort of waiting for our, open to happen. And there's usually 5 to 10 minutes where if the players are around, you can chat with them. Chris Paul, obviously, in a leadership position for the Players Association. I said, hey, have you given this virus much thought? What are the conversations like? And it wasn't the perfect place to ask him, but he said, we've absolutely considered it. This is a real thing. And, again, it was so lightly touched upon that, we didn't go into a ton of details. What's interesting is being on the road on March 11th, the day that, ended up being such a pivotal point, you could feel the energy was different. And I asked a couple of staff members from each side, Denver and Dallas, hey, are your players talking about this? How much conversation? How much concern? And the answer was quite a bit, that these players were talking about it, that there was an awareness that this was happening. And I have to say this, in the aftermath of being COVID positive, I am and still could get emotional thinking about the number of people who reached out to coaches and players and, just making sure you're okay. And obviously we run into one another quite frequently and you get to know people over these years. And it was heartwarming to have so many people be so kind and so concerned for my welfare, certainly.
There have been talks that the NBA will start allowing teams to open practice facilities in states where quarantine has been lessened or even lifted. How do you think that affects the rest of the league?
The one thought I keep having as it relates to us moving forward, trying to maybe finish the season in some way, shape, or form, whether it's some measure of the regular season or, you think about the safety of the people involved, but that's first and foremost. And you think about someone like LeBron James, who's 34 years of age, well positioned to compete for a title. Will he have that opportunity? And of course it matters, right? It's so important. But then you juxtapose that next to what's happening in society at large, and you go, well, maybe your perspective changes just slightly. I think hard to know. I can't imagine the number of scenarios, contingencies, the number of different stakeholders who are talking with Adam Silver every single day, and the weight of the decision on any league commissioner as to how to proceed. Is it appropriate? What goes into a return? You know what? There's times where I'm thankful that I am simply an announcer and don't have the weight of those sort of decisions on my shoulders.
With the league on pause right now, it also puts a pause on all the season's accolades and awards. Who would you say, in your mind, would be the recipients of the league's awards, the MVPs, the Defensive Players of the Year, the Sixth Man, etc.?
Yeah, so I remember having a game with LeBron and making a casual conversation. I believe it might have been on a Sunday night, but don't hold me to that. And he had performed in such a way that I remember thinking to myself, boy, we sort of discussed this award as though it's a foregone conclusion that Giannis would win it. And in my mind, if the season had ended on March 11th, I would have cast my vote for Giannis with LeBron second. But it thought the race was closer than perhaps all the conversation might suggest. I could be wrong. You don't know until the voting happens what ultimately happens. I haven't, it's so funny you asked me that question because I haven't considered any of that to this point beyond the MVP because it had been such a big part of our conversation.